hello, good evening, how are you? Did you have any problems with conditional sentence or with relative clauses? I think it was quite easy and I hope you enjoy it. Today we are going to explain passive sentence in English. Passive voice. Passive voice is quite similar to Spanish passive voice. You have this sentence, for example, this is an active sentence. Subject, Mary, buys verb, and a book, direct object. Okay. If we want to change this sentence into passive, several changes take place, as well as in Spanish. We say, a book is bought by Mary. Change. The most important change. The direct object of the sentence, of the active sentence, becomes the subject of the passive sentence. Okay? The verb to be is added plus the participle of the main verb. And the subject, here the subject of the main sentence changes into the agent of the passive sentence. This agent in English is always introduced by the preposition by. Sometimes the agent is omitted. For example, if instead of Mary we say he, this agent by him could be omitted because it's not a specific person. Okay? These are the most important changes. The subject becomes the object, the agent, and the direct object becomes the subject. Passive forms is made up with the verb to be plus the past participle of the main verb. Now we are going to study in detail all tenses. In order to use properly passive sentence, it's necessary to master English verb system. If we don't know the simple present, we cannot change this simple present into passive. It's completely necessary, we know how to build up simple present, simple continuous, past simple, simple past, past continuous, present perfect, past perfect, all tenses, okay? We should pay close attention to all these changes. Like in Spanish, María compró un libro fue comprado por María, o es comprado por María in this case. The changes are the same as in Spanish, okay? Now we are going to review more or less all tenses. Simple present. Active and passive. In simple present, we have buys, passive, the verb to be in the present, plus the past participle. This is simple present in active and simple present in passive. Okay? Present continuous. Is buying, this is present continuous. In passive is being bought. We have the verb to be always plus the passive, the meaning of the passive with being and the past participle, bought. Simple past. Bought. In the passive, was, bought. Always the verb to be, in this case in the past, because the verb in the active is past tense. Past continuous. Was buying. This active and passive was the same, being, it's indicative of passive, the auxiliary of the passive, and bought. Was buying, was being bought. Present perfect. Have or has bought. Passive. Have, the same, the auxiliary being bought. Have been bought. This is the mark of the passive sentence. Being and is. Okay? Past perfect. Had bought. It happens the same as in the present perfect. Had been bought. Always the past participle of the verb at the end. These are the most common tenses. In all cases, we have the past participle. If we have a regular verb, for example, study, pues study, then study, we add ed, and it should be the past participle of that verb. Simple present, present continuous, simple past, past continuous, present perfect, and past perfect. Future. With will, for example. Will buy. The passive will be, and the participle bought. The auxiliary remains identical, will and will. Okay? If we have, for example, the form going to. I am going to buy. The passive should be, we should change this one, well, going to be bought. In this case, instead of am, we should put is or are depending on the subject of the passive. The same, we add the auxiliary and the past participle. The main form remains identical. With modal verbs, it's quite easy. With modal verbs, we only have to add the verb be plus the past participle. Modal verbs like can, could, must, buy, for example. Passive, can, could, must, be, bought. This happens with all auxiliaries. We only add the verb to be in the infinitive form plus the past participle. It's a small review of passive voice with specific tenses. We have more tenses, but now I think it should be enough in order to understand passive sentence in English and how they work. Okay? Finally, we are going to review those sentences in which we have two objects. In English, there exist two possibilities of passive sentence when we have two objects. For example, I gave him a book. In this case, we have the subject, the verb, the indirect object, and the direct object. In Spanish, we can say only one sentence, but in English there exist two possibilities. We can say, a book was given to him. In this case, the direct object is the subject of the passive sentence, and the verb changes from active into passive. By me is not necessary, and it shouldn't be added. The agent is not necessary because it is not a specific person, okay? I gave him a book, it should be the active sentence, and a book was given to him, one possibility of passive sentence. But there exists another possibility. He was given a book. It is very, very common in English. In this case, the subject of the passive sentence is the indirect object of the active sentence. With the same active sentence, this one, active, we can create two possibilities of passive sentence. One in which the direct object is the subject, and another one in which the indirect object is the subject of the passive sentence, okay? This is different from the Spanish language. In Spanish, we only have one possibility, but in English, it's very common to find this type of structures. Other type of sentences that are found in Spanish, but not in English, are those sentences, for example, with se. I'm going to put it here. Spanish se. For example, se venden libros, we say in Spanish. It's a pasiva refleja. In Spanish, it's called pasiva refleja. In English, this structure with se does not exist. In English, we say books are sold. Okay? We make a passive sentence with the subject and the passive verb. We don't have the structure se. Another similar structure is, for example, se dice que. Se dice que tomorrow morning. Okay? Se dice que whatever. In English, se dice, se cuenta, se piensa. Is said, it is said that whatever, or it is believed, se cree. These are like an impersonal passive sentence. Se cree que, se piensa que. It's very common in English with this structure. It is said or it is believed. These are different with the Spanish language that emphasize how in English or in Spanish passive sentences are used. It's very important to be aware of the existence of these two possibilities because the second one is very common in English language. Okay? And the structure se is very common in Spanish language but not in English. And English people use other type of structures, passive structure or the impersonal structure, it's said or it is given. Okay? Well, it should be more or less an introduction to have a general idea about the passive sentence, okay? Okay, and finally, the last thing I want to explain to you that it should more or less relate to passive sentence is the causative have in English. For example, if we have these sentences, I have my car repaired. We can say I have or I get, both possibilities. Have or get. I have my car repaired. Here we have the object And here we have a past participle. It is completely different if we say I repaired my car, or in passive, my car was repaired. In this sentence, I repair my car, it means that me do the action. I have a car, this car is mine, and I started to repair it myself. This one, the first one, means the opposite, means that somebody do that. I have my car repaired, it's a causative have, because somebody repaired your car, not you. Or I have my hair cut, somebody, the hairdresser, cut your hair, but you receive the action, okay? This is called causative have because you receive the action, but you don't perform the action. In this last sentence, I repair my car, you did the action, you performed the action. You may repair the car bad or well, it doesn't matter. But this one means that a person repaired your car. If we say, she have my house painted, for example, she has her house painted, it means that somebody painted your house, not you, okay? Or her house in this case. This is called causative because of that. The action is done or performed by other person different from the subject. The subject receives the consequence of the action, okay? In Spanish, this difference of concepts do not exist, okay? Well, and we have finished today with passive voice in English. There exist more exceptions and more situations where passive sentence and different type of passive sentence are used, but here we are going to study only this. I think it should be necessary to perform different situations or to solve different kinds of activities. I hope you have enjoyed. I hope you could understand this lesson, and if you have any problems, don't forget to listen to me again to solve all of them. See you next day. Bye-bye.